To illustrate the use of a do-while loop, we will use a simple program that we have seen before and then extend its functionality. A while back we wrote a program that asked the user to input two numbers, and then it simply added these two numbers together and then output the result. So here's the program. We've got two input statements to take in our two numeric values. The program then simply outputs a blank line followed by some asterisks to separate the input and output area, and then outputs the sum of number 1 and number 2 is, and then it does a calculation to work out the answer. So if we run that program and enter a couple of numbers, we can see that the program adds up to 11 correctly. Now if we want to perform another addition, then we have to close the program window and then rerun the program. And this is a little inconvenient and does not make the program easy to use. But we can use a do-while loop to extend the program so that it executes the code once and then asks the user if they would like to rerun the program or perhaps quit. The condition on the while part of the loop can then check to see what the user's response was. If they wanted to rerun the program, then the program can be instructed to loop back to the beginning. And if they wanted to, if they don't want to rerun the program, then the next instruction can be executed. In our case, we'll just output a simple thank you and goodbye message. So the amended code will look a little like this. Just copy that in. So our initial program is still there. It's in the middle of that code, but it's now surrounded by a do and then a while loop. So we're doing this code and we're going to loop while response string is not equal to n. Response string is obtained here at the end of the loop. We output an input statement so that the user can be asked if they want to run the program again, and we give them an indication of the type of text we would like them to type in, a Y or an N, and hopefully they will then type in yes to repeat or no to end the program. So our statement, if the user enters anything other than a no, an N, will loop back to the word do. That's, if you like, a label that the program will return to. And the first thing it does is clears the screen and then runs through the program again until it asks the user the same question. And it will keep on going round until the user chooses to end the program by entering an N, at which point execution proceeds to the print statement that simply says thank you, goodbye. So let's try running that program. So we'll enter the same values as before, 5 and 6, and as expected our answer is 11. Well, yes, let's run it again. So we'll hit yes, and the program repeats. So we can have a 4 and a 7 and we've got 11 again. Do we want to run it again? Well, let's have another go. Enter yes, and enter 8 and 12, and we can keep on doing that as many times as we want until we press N, at which point we get our thank you, goodbye message, and the program is effectively over, it's ended. At the moment, the program repeats by returning to the first line of code, the beginning of the program. Here at the beginning of the code there is nothing above it. To show that you can loop back to any preceding line in your program, we'll add a few extra lines of code. I've just added some print statements at the beginning to output a header, if you like, before the program runs for the first time. And if we run the program at this point, we can see that it still operates in pretty much the same way. We want to run it again, yes, and it seems to run fine. However, if you notice, when we first run the program, these messages come up very quickly and then disappear. The reason being is that one of the first statements inside the loop is a CLS which clears the screen. So the steps in execution are to print out these statements and then start the loop, and the first thing we do is clear the screen. So effectively those lines of code on the screen disappear very, very quickly. What we'd like to do is the first time through the program we don't actually want to clear the screen. We only want to clear the screen if the user chooses to rerun the program. So to do that we have to put a little bit of logic in our program to work out whether or not this is the first time through the loop, or perhaps easier, after we've asked the question of the user, do they want to repeat, we can use an if statement, and the if statement can be to ask them if they're repeating the program. Then we can at that point choose to clear the screen. So I've added some extra lines of code down here. If the response isn't equal to no, then clear the screen, and if the response isn't equal to no, then the program will quit anyway, and if the response is if the response isn't equal to no, it'll repeat and clear the screen. If it is equal to no, it won't bother clearing the screen and it will simply quit. So before we quit, let's put in a couple of blank lines as well, just to show that you can have more than one line of code after the end of a loop. So our program has now increased in size a little bit, and our do loop is, if you like, the middle section of the program. There is a few lines of code before and a few lines of code after. If we run the program now, we can see our header line. Welcome to the simple adding program. We hope you enjoy using it. Please enter a number. That works fine. Repeat. And now we don't get the header line because this isn't the first time through the program. Okay, and we can keep on repeating as many times as we want. And if we choose to quit, we have two blank lines and then a thank you and goodbye.